Greetings, cretins. My name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to the show. What's happening with my eyes? I was just, I was washing the cars. And I got a bunch of the the wheel cleaner was spraying out everywhere. I got a bunch of it in my eyes. This shit burns, bro. Why did I think that I would be able to wash both cars in an hour? That was dumb. Oh, holy shit, dude. Oh, God. Sunday. What's today? June 22nd? June 22nd. That was what it's like to do live broadcast stuff. You find a spot to park, you save as much battery as you can, and then you mistime the dive. This was, that dive was really tough to time. The riders are always going a different speed. Sometimes they're sitting back and they're going 20, 25 miles an hour. Sometimes they're pushing and they're going 30 to 35 to 40. And so every time they come through, it's a question mark. I tried that dive probably about a dozen times, and I got it right twice. I didn't get it right when I had the Insta360 Go 2 on there, unfortunately. But you know, hopefully one of those made it to the live broadcast. I still haven't had a chance to watch the entire live broadcast. It's hours. I will one of these days. Q&A, as all these live streams are, so load up the chat with any questions you've got. Make sure you tag me, type CiottiFPV if you want me to read your chat comment. If you don't, I won't. Probably. I might still see it. Today we're going to talk about my frame, my 3-inch frame that has that doesn't really exist, but kind of exists. Some cool stuff going on, and the O4 Lite has rejuvenated this frame. Patrons, you guys got a picture with the weight of this frame last night, I guess it was, maybe 2 nights ago. Oh my god, dude, this shit wrecked my eyes. Yikes. I need one of those eye baths. The O4 Lite has kind of like rejuvenated my my interest in this frame. This was originally designed, Jesus, 5 years ago, and it was specifically designed for analog. And then when the RunCam Hybrid came out, so originally it was set up as a regular base plate, and then when the RunCam Hybrid came out, which was really tall, it was kind of redesigned to have a split base plate so that there would be more room for the camera. The RunCam Hybrid required 28mm front standoffs for you to get any up tilt, and so this was kind of redesigned for that. But it was always designed around analog. That's why the body is so short here, right? Like if you compare this to, oh my god, it's so hot in here. If you compare this to something else, you can see something. It's not the yeah. If you compare it to the AIO 3.5. Now, yes, this is a 3.5, but just stick with me here. Look at the length of the body in comparison. This can fit just back there. See that? The arms aren't that different. It's just that the body is really short on this. We're trying to keep weight down and try to keep it as durable as possible. And with that short body comes short responsibility. With the short body comes the inability to put a rear 20x20 whatever, Vista, walk snail, whatever it may be. The ass is really short. But O4 Lite, you can do, so one of the things that I was pretty hardcore on with this frame design. So this is like the current frame design. I guess we're just launching right into it. This is the most current design. This is the previous design of the frame. This is not split base plate. This is the solid base plate, and I forget where I was going with this. Yes, I was pretty dead set on 20x20 only. So this frame was designed before 2525. Like, yes, it existed, but it was only a tiny whoop AIO. There were no AIOs that did anything more than like brushed motors. And one of the things I said is like 20x20 only. But then we also put the arm mounting holes are 30x30. So you could technically run M3 screws up through the arms and then put a 30x30 AIO or even a 30x30 stack in here, but that would be kind of weird. And I was pretty dead set on 20x20 only, even after the AIOs came out. When the AIOs came out, Ryan was like, yo, you got to set it up for 25-25. And I was like, no, I want to force people to run a 20x20 stack. It's better. This is back when I was still assuming that it would be an analog only kind of setup. Ryan eventually convinced me just to put the 25x25 holes. You can see the two out here. Here's the one in the middle. There's the one up front. He finally convinced me. He was like, you know, it's like no extra material. Let me just throw it on there. I was like, okay, cool. So he threw the 25x25 holes on there, and thank God he did, because this with the O4 Lite could be astoundingly good. The body being really short, normally you'd have a bunch of prop in view, which is kind of fine for freestyle. But with the O4 Lite, the narrow field of view, I think there might not be much prop in view. The area up front here is damn near perfect for the O4 Lite in the Flywoo mount, and then we can even put ND filters on it. I have a feeling it might sit in far enough where it's protected. Don't quote, maybe not though. But the what should protect it are the arms. The arms are so much far forward than the chin, right? If you kind of try to, like, I've got rabies. What's happening? If you look like this, right? If my phone is the ground, like, it's gonna hit there, but then look, the arms hit, and so the arms should protect. Look at that. See that triangle that we get from the ends of the arms? That should protect the camera, because the camera will have up tilt, right? So the camera might even be fully protected. Great big devil horns on the end to protect the motors. I haven't built and or flown these yet, so I don't know if the arms are too strong or not strong enough. They're probably a little bit too strong, but nowadays that's kind of the norm. The top plate even has a set of 20 by 20, 25 by 25 holes in it. The top plate is grooved for her pleasure. It's also grooved so that you can run double battery straps. One battery strap here, one battery strap in the middle. You're going to shift the battery straps. You're going to shift the battery rearward to offset the weight of the camera in the front, right? You're going to have a 25 by 25 AIO dead center, and then the O4 AIO on top, the O4 VTX on top. And then in the back, you're going to have like some sort of elrs gubbins, but that's not going to weigh much. The camera is going to weigh a little bit more in the front. Also, the front is much thicker carbon, split base plate. So we've got, like, I believe it's 3 millimeter thick carbon on the base plate here. And then the rear piece of the split base plate is 2 millimeters, I think. So the front is going to be heavier, and so we're going to offset the battery a little bit rearwards, and that's going to give us a perfectly balanced CG. Right now, this current setup has 15 millimeter spacers in the back, and then 20s in the front. There's a 5 millimeter. That's more than 5 millimeters, isn't it? Nope, that's 5 millimeters. Yeah, there's a 5 millimeter difference between the front and the back. So you can go 15, 20, 20, 25. You can even do 23, 28. I'm sorry, 23, 28, or 25, 30, right? So lots of different setups with the split base plate. Yeah, this is pretty cool. This really stalled out when I realized building a frame for just analog in the days of digital was kind of silly. And so this original design has been just sort of sitting on the shelf. But when Ryan Harrell got his CNC machine back up and running, and cut me those 7-inch glide arms, he finished cutting this and sent it to me, which is super, super, super cool of him. And yeah, now with O4 Lite, this could be really cool. You could also obviously build it for analog. You could do, it's still got the 20 by 20 mounting, so you can do a 20 by 20 stack with analog. If this is ever, yeah, replaceable arms. Yep, the arms are screwed in here. And then they have like a little, here, let me show you. Well, I have the arms over here. Here's what the arms look like. So they got a little hook on them, and that little hook interfaces with this. So you can kind of see the arm, see the threads there hanging out. So to remove an arm, you pull, remove one of the rear arms, you pull this screw, and then you pull this or this screw, and the arm just pops right out. Super easy 2-screw removal. Really cool thing that Ryan's done here. The split base plate is going to sandwich these front arms. The split base plate is going to sandwich these front arms. They're the ones that are going to take the majority of the abuse. The rear arms just have the screw through them. Ryan says this is plenty strong. He says he's done this before in frame designs, and it's plenty strong. And so, yeah, save a little bit of weight there by not having this thick 3mm carbon go all the way back. So there's that. Yeah, this has all of the things that, like, I've ever kind of wished for. I think this frame design has now had 3 different designers. Like, somebody did a design and then disappeared, and I took that and I sent that to somebody else, and they massaged a little bit, and then I ended up sending it to Ryan, and he's done a ton of work on this. But it's got a lot of, like, little subtle things that other frames haven't had over the years that's kind of driven me insane. I think it's, what is it, 40? So right now it's set up in full Fat Boy spec. I've got all socket-headed M2.5 hardware on it. It's got all the heaviest hardware that it can possibly have. The standoffs are pretty light. 15 and 20 is pretty light. But yeah, it's 46.9, call it 47 grams. You could probably get this down to like 40 grams with titanium M3 hardware. Oh, that's one of the other things. It uses M3 hardware everywhere. None of this bullshit M2 hardware that strips out the first time that you crank on it. So yeah. Oh my god, I'm absolutely vile right now. Ugh. Ooh! What in the Sam Hill? So yeah, look at that, and the arms can open a beer bottle. I can't. Oh, this is actually the lightweight arm design too. I forgot about that. So we did the heavy boy arm design with 4 screw holes, the standard kind of design, and then we did the light boy arm design with 3 screw holes, and it's slimmed down a little bit. Ryan does not like the 3 screw hole design. And I'm inclined to agree with him. I'll probably just do this one, but give this one a shot. So yeah, there you go. Ah, get over there. All right, well, that's the live stream, friends. Thanks. So yeah, I need to build this out. I think this is going to be where the other, where the replacement O4 Lite goes into initially. I might have an AIO here that I can just slap in, but we'll see. This is going to get built out though. I'm dying to know what this would be like with an O4 Lite. That could be a super cool, super kind of stealthy. It'll be way under 250 grams. Like I'm thinking this would end up building out to like maybe 200 grams, which should make it pretty quiet. But you'll be able to put a big drivetrain on it. It's going to get 1404. I actually, so here's one of the annoying things though. O4 Lite will not take 4S. The maximum it'll take is 3S. And so the AIO that I choose for this, if it has a 5-volt Beck at a high enough amp rating, 2 or 3, it's fine. I'll just run the O4 Lite from the AIO. If the AIO if the O4 Lite VTX browns out on the AOS's 5-volt, I'll have to either put in an external Beck, which will be a motherfucker in a frame that's this tight, or run full voltage to it. If I run full voltage to it, it can't be 4S. So at that point, I need to build this 3S, which is super annoying. But there are some... Oh, there were just a set of motors. What are they? Are they RC Power 1404 Plus? RC and Power 1404 Plus motors might have 4680 kV. What the hell was it, man? There was just a 1404. There it is. RC and Power Smooks. Smooks! 6,000 kV. If you were to do these RC and Power 1404 Smooks in 6,000 kV, you'd be able to run this thing on 3S. You could do like a 3S 650 or even 850 mAh battery, and it would make plenty of power and it would fly awesome. You'd be able to run the 04 Lite off direct battery voltage, and away you go. So that's kind of annoying. I really wish the 04 Pro would accept 4S voltage, because I really want to build this in 4S. 3S is totally fine, but 4S is just a little bit better. It's like on 3-inch rigs, 3S versus 4S is the same thing on 5-inch rigs as 4S versus 6S. It's not like the end of the world to run the lower voltage, but the higher voltage is going to give you more power and more efficiency and more motor options. You're going to be hard pressed to find another 14. The only other 1404 that I know of in 6,000 kV is the Emax Eco, and the Emax Eco is super fragile, so I don't recommend that motor. Well, I mean, both cars are clean. It's kind of cool. And Maggie didn't. When Maggie came home, she's like, "I'm gonna go take the car to the car wash." I was like, "Please don't. Please don't ruin that beautiful white pearl Honda paint." She's initially when she got this car, I was like, "Don't take it to the car wash like your old car. I will hand wash it every time." That lasted like a few months, and then I was not, when she would ask me to hand wash it, I wouldn't get it done quick enough, and then she would take it to the car wash. It is a white car, and so like white cars through the car wash are not that bad. It still beats the hell out of the paint. I mean, it pounds the all of the not hand washing your own car with clean rags bangs up the paint no matter what. If you bring it to somewhere that washes cars all day, they're going to rub dirt into your paint, and that scratches the shit out of the paint. White cars, you can't see those scratches like black cars. Black cars, it's like, if you're going to own a black car, if you're going to own a car and take it to car washes and have other people wash it that aren't like proper detailers, don't buy a black car, because it's going to look so bad. Because the paint is just going to get hammered by car washes, and then it's going to have all these little tiny scratches, and the black paint's going to look absolutely awful. Ask me how I know! I've had 2 black cars. So white paint's not that bad, but if possible, I try to not let her take it to automatic car washes, because it just damages the clear coat and the paint, and it's just bad. Bad news, yo. In the chat, speaking of, Bad was first. Morton Upshot was next. Brian Kirk. Schweizer, Lukes, Frank Nicholas, Swiss Links, Tamava, Eco, Andrew Taylor, Uriel, Sporty FPV, B-Bird, Brent Anderson, Apache Smoke Wounded Sniper, Jason Levin, Yukon FPV, Me Huggy. Is that you, Mr. Huggy? Morton Upshot, Rock Crawler, Flycadelic, Christopher Conkright, Sporny again, Robert Pope, Morton Upshot, Every Day with Bruno. I don't know what just made me think of this, but I forced Maggie to watch Scandal, the pilot of Scandal last night. I don't know if she liked it. I thought she might like that show. I haven't watched that show in a while, though. Boy, is that a network TV show. Super overproduced. Eco, Every Day with Bruno, Double A, Benny Bravo, Morton Upshot, P Money, Striker, Swiss Links again, Uriel, Nathan Wells, Dave S, Dronzen, Morton Upshot. Scandal leaned, their director of photography leaned really hard into tracking the camera behind shit. Like, too much. They do it too much. It's a really cool effect. You run the camera sideways like this, and then there's like a plant, and you frame it up, and then you let the plant the plant will be out of focus. They do it constantly in Scandal, and it's a bit much. What's funny though is that I remember when I watched the show way back when it was like a new show, I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, it was the coolest thing ever at the time. But it hasn't aged well. I think because we've now learned to do it the right amount, you know? Like, new things we tend to, like, overdo when we're trying to figure out how to use them properly. And boy, did they ever overdo whatever the hell that's called. Sometimes it's really cool. There's a theory in photography that I really love, right? Which is that, like, so, you know, the gear gets better, the sensors get bigger, more sensitive, more pixels, and we're able to capture, like, these pictures that are even more photorealistic every year. But there's this really funny, and so, like, for a long time when you shoot stills, that's kind of like it tends to be the name of the game. Like, how crisp can this picture possibly be? And, like, you'll mess around with, like, out of focus blur, but you spend a lot of money and time on gear that takes the best possible picture. There's this, like, really cool, not philosophy, but, like, I don't know, there's a thing in photography where if you put shit all over the frame, but then, like, your subject is actually in focus, those pictures tend to be more viewable than the ones that are, like, absolutely, like, perfect. So there's this, like, interesting game sometimes in photography of how bad can it be. And we see this with, like, lomography and, like, this movement back towards, like, Polaroid cameras and, like, old cameras and shit like that, right? Like, we go back to this old gear and, like, yeah, it's nostalgic, right? And nostalgia is a hell of a drug. And so there's some nostalgia to taking a picture with a shitty old camera and then the image looking shitty, but it's, you know, it's the art of it. But yeah, I find that to be, like, super fascinating. And so, like, there's this game that I've heard photographers talk about of, like, how bad can you make an image? Like, a perfect image, it has no art, it has no soul, it has no feeling. Not no, but I'm being drastic, right? But yeah, there's this really, and like, look, filters, right? Like, we take pictures on our phones and then we put these filters that fuck the colors all up. Like, what are we doing? We're doing exactly that. We're giving it some feeling. We're giving it some life. You know, taking photojournalism is taking a picture that represents the scene that's happening. So photojournalism is where you don't put filters on, you don't do any Photoshop. It's actually, like, one of the tenets of photojournalism is to not edit the images. Like, you can do light editing, like you can push a little bit of contrast in, you can adjust the exposure, simple stuff, but you're not taking people out, you're not, like, doing, it's almost like you're going to work in Lightroom, but you're not going to work in Photoshop, essentially. And, you know, with photojournalism, if you're pointing the camera at something insane, like, oh, I don't know, World War III, that image, that could be a famous image. But there's less art to that, in a way, if that makes sense. I don't know. Photography rant. Sorry, friends. In the chat, if you want to talk directly to me, type CiottiFPV. If you want to support me, go to CiottiFPV.com. Bad says, CiottiFPV, first one for me today. Hit a middle post, lens first, pulling out of a dive, 2S 75mm mat, and managed to crack the sensor. Jesus. Yeah, the fact that any of these cameras survive any of the crashes that we put them through is pretty insane. So I'm actually not surprised to hear that. The durability of our camera systems is really the most impressive part. Cameras are not durable, man. There's all kinds of stuff inside of cameras that is really, really, really sensitive. And so, yeah, pretty wild. Apache Smoke says, hello. How's everybody doing this windy Sunday? Me Huggy says, hi, CiottiFPV, long time no see. I think it is. I think it's Mr. Huggy. What's up, brother? How you been? Morton Upshot says, I assume you stay armed when resting on the ground. When I park down, I will disarm for about 30 seconds, just to keep. I'm just trying to conserve as much juice as possible. After 30 seconds, though, I'm sure that the DJI shit is going to start to heat up, so I'll arm, and I'll let it sit armed. Also, when I first land, I want it to be armed for a while in case somebody goes over and picks it up. I don't want it to be sitting there armed and then have somebody reach their fingers into the damn thing, like, from behind. I always land in spots where that shouldn't happen, but I don't know what's going on behind me, and if somebody, you know, yeah. So after 30 seconds, I assume that nobody's going to pick it up. I will also sometimes, like, if I'm worried about that, like, I'll just yaw it around on the ground and just kind of, like, look around and check. Bad says, love that shirt, would get some interesting looks at work. Yeah, this is by Say Andrea, from up in New York. She had a whole, this was like her best received, she's a graphic designer, but she did a line of FPV clothing. And this is the funniest one. This is back when soft mounting a flight controller was like fucking voodoo. So we're going like 5, 6, 7 years back. She was super cool. She had a really cool line of stuff that ended up on Get FPV, I believe. Some of it you can still get. I got this shirt not too long ago. I find it hysterical on so many different levels. Christopher Conkright says, I wear safety glasses when spraying cleaner or brake clean. I don't mess around with brake clean, but wheel cleaner, yeah, I just wasn't thinking. But safety glasses are a great idea. You Can FPV says, is there a good 1S AIO I can use a separate analog VTX with? That's a good question. 1S AIO with a separate VTX. Yeah, the old Beta FPV Cross AIO, if you can find it. The one that I've used on most of my digital build, most of my 1S digital builds, right? Not the Air AIOs. The Air AIOs, they went the other way. They built the VTX in, and then they left the receiver external. But yeah, the old school Beta FPV Cross, and that I've had really good luck with that cross style AIO. How do I not have one sitting right here? I have a bunch of them running. They're in all the walk snail rigs. Yeah, they're in all the walk snail rigs. The only problem with that is it's not a high enough amperage BEC to run the O4 Lite. So that cross AIO is gonna die. I'm sure they're not making it anymore. I'm not sure of it, but they probably don't make it anymore. But yeah, you'll see it kind of disappear. But that's what I would recommend. That's the most reliable ones that I know of. Sporny FPV says, what do you think of the new Flywoo 04 light lens? Yeah, Flywoo, I put it on my Instagram. Flywoo just put out here it is. A housing to make the 04 light 155 degrees field of view. I'm assuming that this housing slides over the existing 04 light camera. what that means is that, because I can't imagine they expect you to take the O4 Lite apart. You know what I mean? Maybe. You never know. But I really doubt that. And so in theory, O4 Lite camera, this is going to slide over top. The problem I have with this is that you've got sensor, DJI glass, and then Flywoo glass. And that's that. Yes, you're going to get a wider field of view. But what you're kind of actually doing is like you're not, but you're almost like, it's almost like digital zoom. Like you're zooming in on the pixels that are kind of already there. Does that make sense? It's there's a chance that there will be a degradation in image quality. I don't find the O4 Lite field of view to be that bad. I switch back and forth between analog stuff and O4 Lite, and the latency is what I can tell is the big difference. And now that I've been playing around with the Goggles 3 with race mode, there's a lot less of an adjustment period there between the two. We're going to talk about that in the future. I got to fly it a little bit more. But yeah, this is super cool. I love that this exists. I'm just worried what it's going to be to have glass looking into glass. Not actually glass either. Plastic looking into plastic, more than likely. It looks like they've set it up for ND filters, which is super, super, super good news. That's what we're kind of looking at here. They've got three different housings for it. Oh, balls. You can kind of see them here. There's a housing that has screw mounting for the O4 Pro. There's a housing that has the O3 screw mounting, and then this housing is like their specific housing that fits in their canopy. So you'll be able to get this in a number of different mounting solutions. It's really cool. This is amazing that this is a thing. I'm not gonna jump right on it though and order it because I'm worried about the glass looking into glass. I will let other people review this and try it out. But this is pretty slick. If I'm completely honest, I kind of dig how linear the O4 Lite camera is. I wish it was it had a little bit more field of view, but the fact that it is 117, I think, degrees field of view gives you this incredible linearity in the image where there's none of that fishbowl effect. And that is kind of cool. And so, yeah, I don't hate the O4 Lite. I will continue to use the O4 Lite as it is. If people review these housings and they're not noticing the image quality go to hell, I'll probably snag one of them and give it a shot. But they're probably going to be a little heavy. They're going to be like 3, 4, 5 grams, right? And the O4 Lite is mainly for super lightweight kind of setups, right? Like if you can afford extra weight, the O4 Pro is the way to go. Although the O4 Pro is more than twice as expensive, isn't it? So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting with so many people complaining about the durability of the O4 Lite. It's like, ooh, what do we do here? But I mean, you know, time will tell. So yeah, super cool that it exists. Thank you for the reminder. Can't wait to see some actual footage from it. Christopher Conkright also asking about the wide angle converter for the OF Lite, O4 Lite. Robert Pope typed at CiottiFPV, but then put a bunch of dots after it, and that it didn't light up in orange, but I just happened to see it. New X12 flight controller bounces up and down and does a flyaway. What do you think is wrong with it? Could be bent or out of balance props, banged up motors, screws that are not tight, broken frame, improper soft mounting of the flight controller, or something pushing up against the flight controller so that it's not really soft mounted, or something vibrating that's creating an oscillation. Those are the main things, and that's kind of in order of how you should check them. Some propellers are out of balance. Some propellers are manufactured out of balance. Some propellers are a bad run and they come right out of the bag. This is pretty rare, but will come out of the bag out of balance. So you can't just put a fresh set of whatever props you're running on. You got to switch to a different set of propellers to rule out that the props that you're using right now are not just mismanufactured. If these are motors that you've flown a bunch, especially if they're motors with 1mm motor shafts, they might be banged up. And so you're gonna spin the motors up while you're holding the rig individually and see if you can catch, see if one of them is vibrating harder than another one. Check the frame for cracks, check for loose screws, stuff like that. It's almost always a physical vibration issue. Never the super common thing in FPV that really screws so many people over is that they blame everything on the tune. Missed the gap and wrecked your quad, must be the tune. I can't possibly be a bad pilot. Oscillations and flyaways must be the tune. I can't possibly have chosen the wrong components or have built this thing like a button pushing fucking monkey. 9 times out of 10, the tune has absolutely nothing to do with it. Probably like 9.9 times out of 10, the tune has nothing to do with it. So yeah, you're almost certainly dealing with a mechanical problem. Also, I know you said new X12, but when the first step for troubleshooting is to always look at the absolute last thing that happened. Did you slam it into a tree at full stank, and that's what killed the previous flight controller, and now you just replaced the flight controller, and you didn't think that full throttle blast into, a volcano could have hurt the frame or the motors or the props, right? So you always go back in time and think of the absolute last thing that happened before the bad behavior started, and just think more about it. Think more about what could have happened in that situation that broke more stuff, or et cetera, right? If it started flying shit after you were screwing around in beta flight, think about everything that you changed. Don't just think about the fact that you turned the P gains up. Think about the fact that you were also in the filter slider fucking around with those, or you were in the CLI doing something weird, right? You got to go back in time and you got to think of like the last time that it flew properly, and then what happened after that. That is one of the biggest missed steps in troubleshooting. People just assume, you replace a motor, you smack it into a metal pole at full steam, it grenades a motor, you swap the motor out, it doesn't fly right ever again. And you're like, man, I don't know what happened. Something else happened. Is the frame broken? Is the gyro blown up on the, so you got to go back in time a little bit. Good question, brother. Morton Upshot says, after turning 40, I started wearing glasses. They've saved my eyes a few times now from spray and chunky bits. That's actually, I never thought about that with glasses. That's pretty cool. Every Day with Bruno says, you okay? How you doing? I'm about to pass out, dude. I thought at 2 o'clock, I thought that I could wash both cars. I was wrong. I also haven't eaten anything today. But you know, Sundays just be like that sometimes. Does that make me seem younger when I say things like that? Does that make me seem cool when I say things? Does that make me cool when I say things like that? Am I now a cool person? Hold on. Let me try this. Send it, bro! Am I cooler now? Is that how it works? I just say the things that the other people that are cool are saying, and then I'm cool? Is that how it works? That's how it has to be how it works, right? That's how it works. I'm cool now. That feels good. Yeah. Huggy says, I prefer the shorter bodies. Quads are getting too big and fat nowadays. Me too, my friend. I would love a set of dead cat arms for this. If I can get this built and if it performs good, I'll be bugging Ryan to design a set of dead cat arms, because this is a lot. This is a lot of motor to be in front of the nose of this thing. Like this with a wide angle camera, 150 field of view, 160 field of view. There are going to be acres of propellers in view with this frame. There might even be props in view with the O4 Lite. I'm really actually super interested to see. And so yeah, a set of dead cat arms might be cool for this. And that'll also shift some of the weight rearwards. It'll probably offset the weight too far rearwards, and then we'll have to run the battery farther forwards to try to get the CG fixed, but we'll see. We will see. Spit down on like a grain of sand or something. I swear to God, I hate the beach just because every once in a while one grain of sand gets in my mouth. Double A says, hey there. Everyday with Bruno says, congratulations. When do you think it will release? My guess would be 2027, maybe 2028, considering that I've been working on this since like 2020. Maybe before 2020. I've been trying to get this figured out since before the 20s. Wow, we are in the 20s. It's 2025. We are solidly in the 20s. I usually think of 1920s as the 20s, but like, what the fuck was going on in the 1920s? Like, no, nothing good. The cars were all useless. It was all bad in the 1920s, so that's fuck that. This is the 20s. We're in the 20s right now. So I guess that's the 10s. I've been working on this frame design since the 10s. That sounds weird. Since the teens? That sounds weird too. That sounds Chris Hansen-y. Yeah, this will probably never exist, but you never know. Ryan might, if this design works well, Ryan might submit this design to Get FPV Lumineer and see if they can make it under their name. If I don't care about this being my, like, if the past, whatever, if this exists so that people can buy it, that's great. If I make money off of it, whatever. Just if it comes to be, and if we have a short-bodied 3-inch frame that you can build nice and lightweight with analog, I'm cool with that. It's just a absolute cataclysmic amount of work to bring a frame into existence and sell it and support it and put the right hardware with it. Like, it's so much goddamn work. I've seen Tommy do it so many times, and it's just brutal amount of work. So yeah, I don't know. Benny Bravo says, what's the best way to get back to factory settings on a Newbie Drone V4 flight control? I know Newbie Drone runs their own firmware, not sure where to get it. You can usually get it from their website on the product page of the flight controller itself. If it's not there, just message them on like Facebook or Instagram or wherever. They'll get back to you. I'm sure there's a contact us part of their website. Put an email in. They will get back to you and hook you up. Striker says, hear me out for a minute. Make it 6S. Nope. run insanely high KV like 3500. Nope. 6S is literally bad for micros. It overworks the ESCs, and they end up blowing up prematurely, like has happened to be multiple times. And there is literally zero performance benefit. So 6S is literally a step in the wrong direction for 3-inch rigs. It's 3S and 4S is absolutely where you want to be. That's also where like all of the good motor selections are and stuff like that. So yeah. Stay away from 6S other than with 5-inch rigs. All you're going to do is pop ESCs left and right. The only way to build a 6S 3-inch rig that has any amount of durability is to use basically a 5-inch 20x20 ESC. And at that point, it's way too heavy. And you've got to, and you're adding like 10 extra grams for no performance benefit whatsoever. So yeah, 6S doesn't make any sense on 3-inch rigs. Especially a 3-inch rig that's designed for lightweight. If you've got like a 300-gram 3-inch rig, yeah, maybe 5S might be okay, but yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense. Morton Upshot says, there's replaceable arms. I thought it looked like a single base plate with arms. Hell no. You think I would make a frame? You think I would have anything to do with a frame with a solid base plate? What kind of shit would that be? Nah, yeah, removable arms forever. Although a box frame is an example of where a solid base plate does make sense. The removable arm box frames, like what Rosser's been doing, in my opinion, doesn't really make much sense. The box frame is incredibly resistant to flex and vibrations and whatnot. And with a frame that's got guards around the props, you're not going to bang up the motors or the props, really. So the benefit of like removable arms, you're not going to break an arm and then be able to just replace it really easily. You're going to break the guard and whatnot, and then the guard is going to take a million screws to replace it. So the old school AOS Cine 2.5. Oh god, now I'm sore too. What is this shit? The AOS Cine 2.5 with the removable arms doesn't make a whole lot of sense. If you crash this thing, it blows up both the bottom and the top guard because they're not connected to the arm in any way. So every single time you crash this, you have to completely rebuild it because you have to replace the bottom plate and the top plate. Super, super, super annoying. But what I will say is having no external support here does make this a little bit more efficient. But the fact that these arms are removable, it doesn't help in anything, and it just kind of makes this thing a pain in the ass to work on, if I'm honest. A standard traditional box frame, which is like a solid base plate, solid top and solid base plate, it's got a little bit more obstruction to the airflow, so it's not quite as efficient. But other than that, this is the way to go. This is way easier to work on. This is the only scenario where like a solid base plate makes any amount of sense. And I think it does make the most sense. I think for a box frame, this is the correct design. This is great if you don't crash it ever, but every single time you crash this, it explodes, which got really old really fast. The new AOS V5 designs are a little bit different, and I'm super interested to get a couple of those built and see how they are from like a live with them standpoint, from a what happens if you crash standpoint. So we'll see. I'm not going to speculate on them, on the new ones. Mainly because they're V5 now. And one of the big things that means is that Chris has had a chance to take a ton of customer feedback into account and modify the designs. You know, that AOS Cine, like that was V1. That was his first shot at a frame, and it's a hell of a first shot at that style of a frame. So yeah, the new V5s, I'm going to assume, should be a lot more easy to live with, and they should crash better, and blah, 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 blah. But we'll see. Uriel says only 3 mounting points is bad, resonance, etc. So, I never thought about resonance. These arms should be plenty stout to eat all the resonance. The reason that Ryan doesn't like the 3-bolt arms, which is where you basically just do that and run this as a straight line here, is that he basically says that like it's gonna find a place to break. And that it's gonna find a straight line. And he's done 3-bolt hole arms before. The Lumineer Chief is his design, and so like one of the theories is that like the more holes you have in here, the less carbon, the more little short runs there are that the carbon can crack in between those little short runs, right? So if you take this hole out, then it's just a big area of carbon here, and that should be stronger. But what Ryan says is that instead of breaking there, it'll just break on the other side. It's always going to kind of find a way. My thought process, though, is that if it hits just right, it might actually survive with the 3-bolt setup. Boy, is that hard to test, and I'm going to trust Ryan because he's literally designed a frame and then watched the feedback and the pictures of the arms breaking come in. So I'm sure that he's right. But hey, if it's a light, if it saves some weight and that's what you're going for, that's pretty cool. 100% says, what is your expected price point? $1 million. No idea. It probably won't ever exist. But it'll cost whatever it costs to have it made. I have absolutely no idea. It'll probably be more expensive than other frames because if it gets made, it'll probably just get made in a really short run. But yeah. Nathan Wells says, maybe I missed something. Is this frame available to the public to buy? No, this frame is just an ethos at this point, really. It's never been built. It's never been flown. It's never been tested. It is probably years away, if ever. Andrew Taylor says, can you say smooks again? Smooks, smooks, smooks. So what is it? SMOOX. How do you... pronounce... How to pronounce Smilax. That's not it. Oh my god, Al has something to say. I'm stealing something from the YouTuber Queso. He no longer says AI, he says Al. AI shall now be Al from now on. The word Al says that the word smooks is not recognized in standard English. It appears to be a misspelling or a made-up word. It would be pronounced as smooth with a... What? With a silent E. There's no E. What? Al. Are you fucking high, Al? Al is high. Al Overview is doing drugs. There's... Oh! I see. I'm the dumb one. If you meant to pronounce smooth, it would be pronounced as smooth with a silent E. What does this have to do with anything? Al is drunk. Smooth smooks. Is it smooks? Maybe what Al is telling us is that it's smooks. Is it smooks? 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 Is it smokes? Or is it smooks? Is it smooks? Smooks. Smooks. Smocks. FizzPV says there's no accounting for taste. It's true. Robert Pope says... Robert Pope, of course, related to Olivia Pope from Scandal. He says, X12 says it's Mobula 7 1S. Do they make X12 that don't run 2S? Would this cause flyaways? To my knowledge, there is no X12 that is only 1S. They should all be 1S or 2S. And regardless, if they're 1S or if they're 2S, it should be totally fine to run them on either. Andrew Taylor says, love the photography rants. Thank you, dude. Craig says, were you talking about Boca effect or the Ken Burns pan? No, neither. So it's hold on. Truck. It's a truck. It's a trucking move. Sort of. So when you truck a camera here's when you truck a camera. This is a camera trucking move. Right? It can also sort of be like this. It can sort of be like this, where it's in an arc, but typically to truck a camera is to do this. And so what that show does a lot, and they're not the first ones to do it, but they did it a lot, is if my subject is this, you can truck the camera like this. And I mean that's pretty obnoxious because it's an opaque water bottle. But like, all right, so here's a better example, right? So like what Scandal does a lot is they'll be showing that, pretend this is a window, right? It's kind of clear. And that like, so this is like the flight controller is the main actor. And so they'll like, and like you can still see the main actor, but actually what they'll actually do it like this. They'll do it like this. Where it's so, and pretend like the camera is not all of a sudden a genius at focusing. They'll do it so close that you can barely tell that so they'll do like that. They'll do like, and then they'll cut to a different shot. And so they'll do it like behind like windows and doors and shit. And you're like, you know, like a window can have like a cool little like cut in it for like a cool fancy window design. They'll like use that little cut to just kind of like shift, and yeah. But they're usually doing it while they're trucking the camera left or right. You can also do it on like a jib move when you move a camera vertically. You can, if you've got like a balcony up here, you can like show the scene and then like blah, you put the balcony in front. But yeah, that's what Scandal does an obnoxious amount, which I really noticed last night, which was kind of interesting. You Can FPV says, does the Beta FPV cross heavy LRS? It does indeed. And it's not called the cross, it just looks like a cross. It's like the Beta FPV F4 5 amp AIO. It's just the old one. Striker says, does the fact that modern GoPro sensors are off to one side bother you at all? That shit pisses me off so much. I don't know why. It only bothers me when there's props in view or something in view, and then it's those props are off center in view. Other than that, I don't really care. You know, there are a bunch of mounts that will center the lens up with the middle, but then you've got an out of balance center of gravity, which is not the best thing. So it's, you know, pick your poison, right? Do you want your center of gravity to be proper and the rig to fly good, or do you want the camera to be absolutely centered up? Sometimes you can't, you know, you can't have it all. Norm Carver says, first time I've caught a live stream in a while. I'm anxiously awaiting 2 sets of 1.5mm 702 screamers. Very cool. So that I can get 1.4 analog rig going. Awesome. You've inspired me with your recent testing. Very cool, man. You're going to dig it. What flight controller are you putting on it? Those are the perfect motors for it. Matt Anderson says, greetings, CiottiFPV and Gangly Gang. Furious getting ready for West Coast. Threw it on over here. Very cool. Wish I could join you. It's an expensive trip, though. And boy, I got to relax for the rest of the summer. Uriel says, LOL. Andrew says, we got that. Bad says jazz was good in the 1920s. That's true. That is true. Cold Power says 20s were... Oh, that's right. Yeah, the roaring 20s. We are in the 2020s. I'd argue it's more of a groan. I'll say this. Even though the 1920s are called the roaring 20s, I can pretty much guarantee you that history forgets the 1920s in favor of the 2020s. The next 5 years are going to be, well, I mean, the next 3.5 years. But yeah, it's pretty bad, man. Pretty fucking scary and awful. And why? Like, why? Why are we doing any of this? Why are we punishing people that just want to live their lives? Why is any of this happening? Anybody with half a brain can see that it's all bad. Everything that this literal fascist has done is awful. Everything. Every single thing. Everything he touches turns to shit. And everybody around him too. It's wow. Wow, have we lost our way. Embarrassing, man. Striker says it's bad, but it's cool. Looking at new RC and Power 4680, 1404.6, and they look interesting. For some reason, 1505s don't exist in the US. We don't really need 1505s, though. The 1404s, the 1404.5s make tons of power. I have one of those RC and Power 1404 pluses floating around here. If I remember correctly, they are pretty notchy. So I'm a little bit freaked out by that, but other than that, I do like them. I don't know where the hell it went. I had it sitting on the desk over here, but with the flood, like everything got moved everywhere. But yeah, I am gonna try a set of those 1404.5s. RC and Power makes a hell of a motor. Striker says, honestly, I've fallen in love with 5-inch again. Nothing quite like it. Yeah, if you have the space, and if people aren't freaking out and there's cool spots to fly, yeah, it's pretty magic. That's for sure. Nathan Wells says, is the Lumineer QAVS 2 sub 250 good option for a currently available 3-style build? Yep, absolutely. That's another Ryan Harrell designed frame. Is there any frame you'd recommend? 533 Tiny Trainer. I would recommend the Lumineer QAVS 2 over the Tiny Trainer. Tiny Trainer is like specifically for racing, and it's specifically for like spec racing. Does it do other things? Absolutely. But it was designed as a tool for a job, and you know, that is racing. The QAVS was designed for freestyle, and so it's good for freestyle. It's going to be easier to live with, removable arms, and yeah, Ryan designed it, so it's good. Cold Power. YouTube did the thing, trying to find my place, blah blah blah. There it is. Cold Power says, if you have to tear it down every time you crash, it will teach you not to crash. It'll teach you not to even try to fly. But hey, results. And it did. It really did. When I would fly that AOS 25 Cinna, not crashing was high in my list of priorities. And like, I can handle that because I was flying it in a situation where crashing is unacceptable. Like, you know, live broadcast stuff. But it does suck to have in the back of your mind that, like, if this thing goes down, there's a chance I won't be able to fly it home and I'll have to go get it. And it's just having a frame that in almost any crash it breaks is really silly. And like, we're beyond that in 2025. And so if anybody is still making a frame like that, yikes. Cole Power says, smooks, like smokes? Nah. It's the two X's. It's the two O's, rather. Smooks. Smooth, smooks, smooks. Cole Power says, is the rest of the stream going to be CiottiFPV trying to pronounce gibberish? Uriel says, say fiets. It's bicycle in Dutch. Fiets. Fiets. Burlak FPV says, Mobula 7 is floaty on 2S at 0 throttle. Lowering dynamic auto to 5 helps, but not all the way without causing it to drop out at low throttle. What else should I try tweaking? First thing is going to be to confirm if it's floaty right side up or upside down. If it's only floaty when it's right side up, and if you can hear that the motors are not spinning down, like when you chop the throttle, the motors should spin all the way down to idle. They shouldn't come down to idle and then like, they shouldn't, like, every time you chop the throttle, the motors should drop all the way down to idle. Every once in a while, they'll fire up a little bit to fix some kind of inconsistency. But yeah, they should quickly drop down to idle and be nice and quiet. If they don't, you're either overtuned or it might be overtuned because there's a mechanical issue. There's something going on. If it is too floaty inverted, there's nothing you can do. It's physics that you're running up against. And it just sort of is what it is. It's actually one of the things that I like most about the 2S 75mm builds is how floaty that they are, because you can just fly out in the front of your house and you can dive the front of your house, and instead of like with a toothpick you do the dive and it's like it just falls like a sack of hammers. A 75mm 2S, it's got all that air resistance, so it dives slower, and it's got that more floaty kind of feeling, and it'll take a smaller space, the front of your house, the back of your house, whatever, and it'll make it feel a lot bigger. So yeah, you need to figure out if it's floaty when it's only right side up, and that's an idle issue or a tuning issue, or is it just always floaty and that's just the weight of the rig and how big of a parachute the build is, right? So yeah, there you go. Good question. Brian Kirk says, sorry for the dupe. I forgot to tag you while flying Pavo 20 Pro at the beach. It landed on wet sand. It seemed like the AIO elrs component stopped working. It blinks but won't connect. Any fix? If it got wet and now it's not working, it's broken. There was nothing about it getting wet that would have caused like the 1s and 0s in there to fuck up, right? So like reinstalling Betaflight or rebinding or any of that stuff, it's not going to do anything, right? Like it was bound. And so yeah, it sounds like it's just broken, man. Sorry, water kills these things, especially salt water. Salt water destroys electronics. If you get something, if you get anything electronics, if you get salt water on anything electronic and you don't wash it off damn near immediately, it's game over. It literally, like, if you crash in salt water, you will do less damage taking a water bottle and immediately hammering it to wash that salt water off than to just try to dry it out quickly or anything like that. For the most part, though, if something is powered on and it gets salt water on it, it's pretty shot. If you're flying and like salt water sprays up a little bit and gets on like the motors and the frame and the prop, you might be okay. But if you submerge an electronic in salt water and it's powered on, it's pretty much game over incredibly quickly. Norm Carver says, I think I'll put them on one of my Air 4-in-1s. I almost picked up a 2G4, but man, I could get a whole bind of 5 for the price. Yeah, 2G4s are expensive, but boy, are they durable. If you're going to fly hard and if you're going to crash hard, even though the 2G4 is expensive, it will outlast everything else by such a margin that it'll be well worth it. It's kind of like titanium motor shaft motors versus eco motors. The eco motors are like $10 cheaper, but the stainless steel motor shaft is so much weaker than titanium that you will break it way more than twice as often. So if you're going to crash, the eco motors are going to cost you way more money than the premium motors, because motor shafts are what bend most often on motors in crashes. And yeah, the difference in strength between steel and titanium is unbelievable. Cold Power says, newbie drone. Why can't I think of Hummingbird V4? It says HV4. I couldn't wrap my head around it. Hummingbird V4 AIOs arrived. Think I can reinforce the plugs. They are the first thing to break when my dog gets it. Yeah, I know. Take my own get good scrub advice. Yeah, I'm sure you can. You could reinforce them with E6000. E6000 is kind of soft and malleable and bendy, though. You might want to reinforce them with something that dries harder. The one thing that comes to mind is the UV reactive stuff. When this dries, it's much harder. What other adhesives are there, though, that when they dry they're more hard? Nothing wrong with that UV reactive glue. It's super handy. Uriel says, we have NATO top that caught one drone so far, an amateur. What's that mean? Eco says, going for a 2S 3-inch toothpick build, 1204 or 1303 for the motors, or does it really matter too much with the two? It does matter. 1204s are going to give you more power and more performance. 1303s are going to give you more efficiency and more consistency. 1204 is like a 2207. 1303 is like a 2306. Same kind of deal. 2207's more power, little bit heavier, might be a little bit more efficient. Efficiency is going to depend on how you fly the rig. 2207, if you don't hammer on it, will be more efficient. 2306 is going to be more consistent. It's a wider, less tall motor, so it's going to stay cooler. And that's where the consistency comes from. 2306 is every single time you go full throttle, you get the exact same amount of power. They kind of never overheat. 2207, 1204, if you're flying it really hard, it might get a little hot. And then if you go full throttle when the motor is hot, it's not going to give you the same amount of power as when it's cool. So, consistency. 1204 is my motor of choice, though, for 3-inch toothpicks, to be honest. They're consistent enough, I think, is the long and short of it. Both are great options. You'll be totally happy with either one. If you want to get 1303s because they're white and that's going to look cooler sitting on your shelf, do it. I'm serious, do it. They're both great motors that will just perform awesome. So if you buy them based on weight or looks or whatever, that's okay. Look at that, I'm caught up on chat. Is there anything else I wanted to talk about with this? I don't think so. I have a little squid, matter of fact. I don't know where, I think this little squid came out of, it's actually a squid that has come apart. I think this came out of a ripsqueak. But this is the little squid I'm going to use. What is this? What is this ESC? I think this is a Speedix old school ESC. Oh, wait, no, I'm not. This is an analog. This is an analog squid here. This is going to get digital. So this is going to get an AIO. This is the split base plate one. I would like to do... Ideally, for my little 3-inch frame, it would come with both split base plate and solid base plate setup, and then you get to choose which one you do, and or you've got an extra base plate. If you build it one way and you manage to break the base plate, while you're ordering a replacement, you can use the other base plate that it kind of comes with. The solid base plate version here, you can also build it in two different ways. You can build it like this, where it's totally flat on the bottom and the arms are on the inside, and then there's your little sandwich plate in here, right? Let's see how useless this camera will be. There you go. So, you know, typically this little sandwich, I call this a sandwich plate. I don't know why. Typically on these on this type of frame, this guy is on the bottom, but it doesn't need to be. If you don't need the build height here, but you do need more camera height, then this is a way that you can sometimes build removable arm frames with a little sandwich plate on the inside, or you can do this the other way. Sit like that, take these standoffs, reverse them, you know what I mean? So yeah, there will be two versions. This is the one here that's going to get built with analog, because this one only has 20 by 20 mounting. This is the earlier version of this frame. The arms are the same design, so I am going to get this built and start crashing it. But yeah, this will be an analog setup here. I wonder if I can get this. I wonder if I can squeeze this stack in here. I like the ideas of. I like the idea of these arms being above like this, because it gets them off the ground here. It keeps you from banging up your motor screws, and it's just kind of cool. It raises the center of gravity up a little bit. But the problem is, will it clear this? It's going to depend on how much height I need for the camera. Different cameras will need different amounts of build height. So yeah, we'll see. Should be kind of cool. To be honest, I'm the analog version of this. I was supposed to have built literally years ago. I'm not like it's just to it's just a build to crash it. And to see where it breaks. This split base plate version of it with the AIO mounting, this is the one that I'm actually excited about, because 04. An 04 Lite in a really capable 3-inch quiet freestyle build. That's pretty dope. In theory, you could fly this everywhere that you would fly like a 2S 75mm tiny whoop and not get that much extra attention. I think this still looks like a little kid's toy. It'll be a little bit more gnarly once it's built up with propellers and shit, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. This is cool though. I'm pretty excited about this. I have so much building to do. Oh my god, I have so much building to do. And it's like the one thing that I hate doing the most. I actually have another one. This is the other older frame design. Oh, cool. This actually has. So this is the more normal setup. So this is a setup without that little sandwich plate over there, with just this silly little thing. Ryan thinks that this is plenty strong, and this is where he got the idea for just running the screws directly through the arms. But Ryan thinks this little piece is enough to keep this thing strong. So this is a build that I almost finished. There's an ESC and a flight controller in this. Hack RC ESC, Hack RC flight controller, and I just never put a VTX and a receiver on it. So yeah, I gotta get on this, man. Gotta get this knocked out. It's ridiculous that this is just sitting here. And yeah, that's kind of exciting, man. I'll be able to build those two analog ones, crash the shit out of them, see where the arms break, and then in the meantime, either I might have an AIO floating around somewhere here that I can drop into this. Otherwise, I'll be looking for the lightest weight 3S to 4S, now 4S capable AIO for this, and then O4 Lite, stack O4 Lite on top, throw a little elrs in the back here, hang the little elrs Immortal T off it, and away we shall go. Yeah, I'm excited about this, man. This could be good. More Upshot says, send me your parts and I'll build them. I love to build. I hate buying parts to hate buying parts though, JK, but not really. That is an interesting offer, my friend. That is an interesting offer right there. I might take you up on that. No promises, but I might take you up on that. I'm pretty insane about like I hate building, but I'm nuts about my builds. Like I want them done exactly the way that I do them. So that might get in the way of me doing that, but I'm going to think about it for sure. Schweizer says 3-in-1 with 04 is peak currently. Yeah, agreed. Higgy47 says, what's the best 40 millimeter prop? What's 40 millimeters? What's 40 millimeters in hamburger, hot dog, cheeseburger units? 1.6. What's the best 1.6 inch prop? Gemfan 1610. It's the most durable. It's really well balanced, and it performs awesome. The HQ Ultralight 1.6s perform a little bit better because they're a little bit lighter weight, but you take a huge hit in durability. They do what all of these HQ lightweight props do, which is they break at the hub. They perform so well because they're so light. They're so light because the hub is so thin. The hub is super fragile because it's so thin. So yeah, 1610, Gemfan 1610. I have them on like all of my 1.6 inch builds. They're awesome. Hey, yeah. Hold on. I saved an email. We're gonna wrap up this live stream by me going through a new products email. Where the hell is it? I specifically saved it. Where is it? There it is. Hey! You guys seem to like when I do this. I feel like this is... I always want to have like a topic, but... Not a topic, but I always want to like work with something on the bench or whatever, but sometimes, you know, we got to be sort of newsy. And these emails with like all the new products are a really good way to do that. Axis Flying Manta 5 SE Bind and Fly DJI for GPS. Cool. It's probably amazing. It's almost certainly amazing. Manta 3.6. It does not rip like a 5-inch. It rips like a 3.6. You fucks. Ooh, that looks heavy. What are these motors? What are these giant motors on this? What in the world? 180 kilometer per hour top speed. Bullshit. I mean, maybe, but probably not. Hold on. Oh my God. It's on a 2006 motor. Holy hell, dude. A 2006 2750 kV motor. So it has to be 6S with a kV that low. Oh, this is weird, bro. Gemfan 3630 propellers. What the hell even are those? This is going to be like 350, 400 grams. They got metal and shit. This is a 5-inch rig that they've shortened the arms down on. That's what this is. Electronics protection snap-on side plates, which will also kill yaw performance and make it catch the wind like a son of a bitch. Oh boy. Yo, buddy. That says 305 and there's no battery on there. You're going to need to run a 100+ gram battery on this thing. Holy hell. This is going to fly like a sack of assholes. Yeah, that's way too heavy. On way too big of a motor. You're probably going to, I mean, you're actually probably going to have to fly like a 150 gram battery. Oh boy. Yeah, that's going to tumble out of the air like an absolute train wreck when you come off the throttle. And it's definitely not going to rip like a 5-inch. Because it's on 3.6-inch propellers and it weighs damn near what my 5-inch rigs do. 2006 motors. What in the hell? Wow. We've lost our way, my friends. We've really lost our way. This is not how you do it. This is not it. Yikes. Yeah, it's just way too heavy. Those motors are way too big. It's way too heavy. Having the O4 Pro on board is amazing. Carrying a GoPro around is just the dumbest thing ever with this. Like that's awful. Absolutely don't do that. Take that GoPro mount off. It's got O4 on board. You're good to go. O4 has better dynamic range than GoPros, and with a little bit of color correction, looks every bit as good as a GoPro. So that's completely insane. With the O4 on board, though, you don't need this big of a motor. So the motor doesn't make sense for it being an O4 carrying 3.6-inch build. So yeah, it's weird. They've spec'd a motor out that really only makes sense if you run a GoPro, but then there's no reason to run a GoPro because the O4 is awesome. Oh, is it O3? Somebody says it's O3. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Don't buy this. Don't buy it. It's way too heavy. Runcam, crazy open IPC thing. Luminaire Zip 2407. What are we using 2407 motors for? That's such a weird motor size. I don't know. Flying fish. That's what I have to say about that. I don't know. Luminaire classically doesn't make great motors, so I would not recommend a Luminaire motor, full stop. Maybe they're better now, but they certainly did not used to make very good motors. Flyfish Volador 2 VD5 04 Pro Dead Cat Frame Kit Black. I don't know. 5-inch rigs that carry 04, like, I don't know, if you just have all the money in the world, like, okay, I guess I get it, but that's a lot of weight to carry around, and it's a hell of a high quality FPV camera to then put a GoPro on top. So like, yeah, the 04 5-inch thing is weird to me. But the 04 has so much better low light performance than the 03. And like the 03 and the 04 are going to work with the goggles 3, right? Like, I think the Vista is kind of a better choice if you're going to carry a GoPro around, right? The 5-inch rig might as well have a Vista on board, but the Vista will not link up to the goggles 3, and that's just super annoying. This is kind of why I'm looking at buying a set of goggles Integra, so that I can get rid of all my old DJI helmet goggles, and I can have the goggles 3 for 04 and 03, and then I can have the goggles Integra for 04, 03, and old school Vistas. But yeah, and I'll have a backup set of goggles. Flyfish Volador VX6 04 Pro. So it's the same thing, but for 6-inch props. Flyfish 55? What is that? Why is it called 55? Is it looks like it's maybe True X? Yeah, this is 5-inch Dead Cat. This is 5-inch True X. Flyfish is making some frames, bro. They're going in on some frames. Yeah, look at this. Smooks. Gep RC Woo Power W63 6-port 1S battery charger. Look, Vifly seems to be an awesome company. Support them. Get theirs. Also, it looks like it has... I was going to say, theirs doesn't only have BT 2.0, it also has PH 2.0, but it looks like this also has PH 2.0 on the side. I don't know, man. Gep RC seems like a cool company, but like I'm going to support Vifly. They make so much really cool stuff, so I'm going to say get the Vifly instead of this. Oh my god, it supports up to 3 amps. So if you want to destroy a BT 2.0 battery, there you go. Get this Woo Power. That's a bit much. Gep RC Vapor. Look at these wacky side plates. I don't know about all this, man. Vapor 6-inch. Bind and flies are all pretty damn good nowadays. These are all probably awesome. The side plate thing, though, can absolutely go to hell. I mean, you usually don't have to run them. But yeah, here we go. Now we're talking. This is all Gep RC specific stuff, though. Cinnabot 2.5 is probably really good. Diversity. Oh, hey. Oh, no. Antenna diversity. Never mind. I thought it was a proper dual band elrs. Nobody cares about that. 1404, 3000 and 4600 kV. Great to have another 4600 kV 1404 option. These are probably good. The RC and Powers are the ones that I go with, though, or the T motors. Cinnabot 2.5, who cares? 3214, Jesus. 1102, 10,000 kV. Why is it only 10,000 kV? That's a little too low. That stinks. Don't buy those. There are a couple of 11 and 12,000 kV options. Get those instead. SpeedyBee F405 mini flight controller 20x20. This is cool. These are out of stock for a while. SpeedyBee making some good stuff lately. Some durable stuff. Here's the 30x30 version of it. Cosmos Streamer Ultra Edition with LCD screen. This is pretty cool, man, to be able to get it all in one box. Very cool stuff. Really expensive, though. I think this is damn near $1,000. Yeah, $780. Woo-hoo-hoo! All it is a little screen and a Raspberry Pi. Oh, and a $150 Cosmos Streamer license. But the setup that Frank Nicholas has kind of put together and sent to me will be a less than half as expensive as this, and it'll do the exact same thing. And you could argue that having... I didn't want to do that. You could argue that having the screen be separate from the actual little Raspberry Pi is kind of a good thing. If you don't, if you don't want to run the screen, you don't plug the screen in. So yeah. There we go. Nope. Oh wait, no, I was looking at email. That's right. We're fine. But this is fancy stuff. I'm sure this is awesome quality, and the fact that the screen's in the case there, that's pretty cool. Get you one of these, my friends. Get you a bunch of these. Get you some Kevlar lipo bags in all different sizes, and just have them all over your house. This is one of the really good ones. This is one of the bigger ones that I have. Don't get giant ones. If you get a giant lipo-safe bag, you have a giant hand grenade. You have to put all these batteries. Get small ones. If a battery goes off in one of these, it's going to potentially set all the rest of the batteries off. And you want as few batteries to explode as possible, right? So, like, this is the biggest I can really recommend of these lipo battery-safe bags. Every single time you do an order on an FPV store, see if they have lipo battery-safe bags and just order one of them at random and have one of each, different size, different whatever, and your life will be good and you won't burn your house down. The Johnny FPV edition 7-inch. This is pretty cool. I like this. I like this method of tying the arms together a lot. It doesn't make a ton of sense to connect them all the way out here. You just have to run a longer rod. This makes much more sense to me. But you have to specifically design the arms for this, right? Like you have to pre-plan this. A lot of times, the 7-inch, 10-inch frames that have the supports from motor to motor, they forgot about it, and after after the fact, you don't have those extra arms. So this is cool that they thought about that. I believe this is another Ryan Harrell design frame. Do not quote me on that though. I've never talked to him about this specific frame. Tiny Whoops. Mobula 7 1S. Really? Oh my god. I thought these were out of stock everywhere. Son of a bitch, you sons of bitches. You can get it in FR Sky. Don't put it on your email if it's not available in ELRS. Come on. How are you going to do that to everybody? Before I say anything. Okay, that's interesting. Mobula 8 analog. I don't know about the 2-inch analog thing. If you're going to do an analog build 2S, I think it should be 75. Once you put digital on, now the 2-inch thing makes a lot of sense. But analog is so lightweight, I don't think you need to go all the way up to 2-inch for it. Seems like overkill to me. Meteor 75 Pro for free? Cool. Hummingbird V3.1. Meteor 65 Pro. Oh, so this is the beta FPV with 04. Of course, it's out of stock. This, as like a platform to build on, seems to be okay. But the motors are not right on here. They're like a low KV 802. Yeah, they're an 802 19,500 KV. So this thing is going to fly like absolute dog shit. You absolutely need to move this thing onto a lighter weight, higher KV motor. The 65 needs to be on 702s up at like minimum 32,000 kV for any kind of decent flight performance. Other than that, you're getting an okay frame. You're getting the 04. You're getting this canopy that has the cool like vibration damping in theory mount setup that sometimes causes more jello, but like you're getting some good parts with this. It's just the motors and if these are the old Gemfan props, these are kind of worthless too. Yeah, it's going to come with worthless motors and probably worthless props. You could custom build it from parts for a lot less than this. So yeah, I don't know about that. If you just want something that's ready to go and you plug a different set of motors in, there it is. Bind it, fly it, away you go. Bind it, upgrade it, then fly it. With those motors, it's going to be a dog. Flywoo Flyland 75, very cool rig. Beta FPV Meteor 85 2S. This frame is horrendously fragile, so you're going to be replacing that pretty quickly. Also, this is a weird motor choice. I think this is 1105. No, 1103. Okay. They're actually good motors. Good motor choice. Bad frame. Bad canopy, too. Which AIO is this? This might also be bad VTX territory. Hang on. I think this might have the VTX up in the canopy. It's bad. You're gonna have to replace the VTX. So I don't know. Got to do a lot of work to that thing to get it ready to go. It's from 2022. QAV Pro 2-inch. Don't really understand this as a 2-inch. I think that they did it to keep it under 250 grams. Just fly at 251 grams. You'll be fine. The 2.5-inch version of this is going to perform better. You can still build it to be sub 250, but this is only on the 03. This might also work with the 04. Yeah, I don't really know. I don't quite understand this guy over the 2.5-inch version, but we've talked about that before. The 2.5-inch version is already really screamy. Like, you got to really put a ton of RPM into those 2.5-inch props. To drop that into 2-inch props, it's just the noise level it makes is going to be absolutely ridiculous. Beginner stuff. There's Joshua's 5-inch setup. Here's his sub 250 setup. Some tools. I always look at these and I'm like, ooh, that might be cool. And then I realize A, we don't need all these. And B, like, it's just going to be kind of a nightmare. But it's kind of cool looking, you know. Take it apart, travel with it. You won't, but you could. You won't. Yeah, I don't know. We don't need this many drivers for FPV. This might be cool for like the garage or something, but not for $42, that's for sure. Precision screwdriver kit. I don't know about that. Parts storage mat. Yeah. Heat dissipating. That's a funny selling point. They drill a bunch of holes in them and call them heat dissipating. I don't know about that. I've never had regular tweezers get hot enough where I needed them to dissipate heat. But they're kind of cool looking. Let me get caught up on chat and then we'll wrap a hoe up for today. I'm gonna get something to eat, man. I'm starving. Cole Power says, Teddy time? Teddy's a bad dog. He's banned from the basement again. He's a bad boy. Better it's in... Oh, wait, no. It has to be Teddy time because he got a haircut that I would... I don't love it, but it's not that bad. He's gotten way worse haircuts in the past. Oh, tell me I don't have a single battery charged. No. Come on. There has to be one. There's always one Tiny Whoop battery that's charged. Hold on. Even if I just have one at like storage voltage, I can limp it upstairs. Oh god, that one's not even in storage. Hold on. Oh god, neither is that one. Oh, we'll find one. You gotta see this haircut. It's pretty funny. It looks alright. 3.7, that one's the closest yet. Nope, 368. Damn it! Did I not land any of these a little bit early? Oh! 3.74. It's as good as I'm going to get. 374. Alright, hold on. I'm going to rush upstairs and try to show you the doggo. What's the most efficient rig that I've got? I think it's this one. Here we go. Wait, no, it's CO3. We need something with a CO3 camera. So it looks good. Ready? me go visit Teddy. Real quick like. Real quick like. Here we go. Teddy time. Small dog time. Oh my god. I can't do it. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to take one of these giant 465 mAh batteries. They won't sag at all. And so they'll be fine. 3.75 and it won't sag. Here we go. Here we go. We're going jousting and or fencing. Oh god. Come on, buddy, make it. Make it. Oh no. Oh god. Oh, I'm being so mean to this battery. Look at all that garbage in the top of the sensor. There's light coming through the back of the sensor. Where is he? Where is he? There he is. See, it's not that bad. Man, you can't even tell. Man, look how bad this CO3 looks. All that junk. So that's the traces of the circuit board. There's light sneaking in. And see how it's gone now? When I was upstairs, there was a bunch of backlight. This is a problem that some cameras can have sometimes. Man, you actually kind of can't even tell that he got a little haircut. Which is good. Because that means, I like the way he looked before. It was a little haircut. If I had my way, he would be a scraggly mess. And it would be hysterical. But I don't get to have my way. Metal Dirtson says, the fact they show it carrying a full-size Hero 10 tells you what you need to know. Indeed. Limits20 says, what do you think of the new SpeedyBee Master 3X? I don't know what that is. What's a SpeedyBee Master 3X? Modular 0304 Pro HT Digital VTX FPV Whoop drone. No, it's not a Whoop drone. Looks heavy. Why is everyone doing side plates? Stop doing side plates. I actually kind of like that they've sat the VTX up like this. But why the fuck is this all so big if you're gonna do that? Like, could be kind of cool, man. Standing the VTX up like that is slick. It's more aerodynamic. It gives them an excuse to push the camera farther forward. 40 amp AIO on a 3-inch rig. Jesus Christ on a cracker. It's totally unnecessary. The side plates are dumb. And it looks like it's kind of heavy. Looking for a weight here. They're probably not going to tell you the weight. Could be cool. Stabler flights, friends. Stabler. 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 What else we got here? Oh! There we go. Removable arms are good. Where to even begin? Where to even remotely begin with this chunk of text? A built-in buzzer, something that nobody ever uses. Although with micros, buzzers actually kind of start to make a little bit of sense, because boy, are they hard to find. Yeah, I don't know. Could be alright. They won't tell us a weight, so it's astronomically heavy, I'm sure. The side plates are dumb. They have all these different configurations. I don't love these antennas being up here on the front. They should be in the back, but I don't know. It's not that bad. Kind of cool looking that way. You drop your battery down here, which is kind of cool. I like that from a center of gravity perspective, but like this is going to end up with an underslung center of gravity. And this is going to really limit the battery options. So kind of cool that they're doing this different thing with the putting the VTX up vertical, but it causes some kind of issues. But yeah, I don't know. Could be all right. It's probably super heavy though. So, I don't know. Personally, I'll pass. But you do you, my friends. You do you. It is now 5 o'clock. I already said, get caught up on chat. Shut this mother down. Word Upshot says they should send you one for testing. You may decide that a brick has great performance with enough motor. Yeah, they won't. That's okay, though. I've flown really heavy 3-inch rigs. They suck. You come off the throttle and they just it's like there's a person that just yanks them out of the air. And then the other problem is when you try to corner, they don't corner. They just keep going straight. So you fucking you're like, oh, I want to turn now. I'm just flying sideways now. It's a totally unbalanced flight experience. Yeah, it's no good. 3-inch rigs, you want to be between 2 and 300 grams. 3.5-inch rigs, you want to be between 250 and 350. 350 is really pushing it, though. That we were looking at, that's going to be 400, 450, 500. It's way too much. Needs a 4-inch prop at that point. Cole Power says, careful, don't get copyright donked by Disney. What did I play? I don't even remember. BMF Spade says Voldor V2 is lighter than V1. That's a good thing. Cole Power says, but if you charge at 10C, your batteries will be done in like 6 minutes. Yeah. Frank Nicholas says 5-inch screen equals $60. Pi and case equals $50. License 150. Total $260. Yeah. Like, more power to Cosmo Streamer for either making themselves or having the things just made so that you can buy them. And also more power to them for charging a bunch of money for them. Like, that's kind of fine. That tells me that, like, they're making them themselves, and, you know, you're allowed to charge $200 an hour for to build some shit. If people are willing to pay that, like, that's fine, I guess. I don't know. But yeah. $260 versus $800. CMYK says, yo, dude, the frame might be on again, so stoked for you, man. Thank you, dude. I don't know if it's... I don't know. Ryan cut this one and sent it to me, and it's got the 25 by 25 holes in it, and that's pretty cool, and I'm going to try it, and we'll see. Yeah. We will see. CMYK, shoot me a message. I've got the old school one, and I know that you're running out of Ripsqueak parts. So if you're willing to take your Ripsqueak apart, which I believe is 3-inch on analog, and put it into one of these, the previous version of this, to help me test these arms, I'll send you one, because I've got like the two sitting over here, and then I've got this new one, and then I've got a set of replacement parts for this new one, and then Ryan sent me a bunch of extra arms for the old one, and maybe even some extra body parts. No, just a bunch of arms. Extra little sandwich plate. But I have a lot of extra arms. And I know you're flying and crashing a lot right now, so I would actually love to have a little bit of help in the smashing department. So yeah, let me know. Puck says, just built 75mm 2S with beta 1102 14,000s. That must rip. That's a really, really, really good combo. Limits20 says, you can swap the speedybee canopy from a drone to another easily. That's pretty cool. That's pretty fucking cool. And keep the same VTX. I like that a lot. Cold Power says 40 amp ESC on an XT30. Why? Because with micros, that's what all the batteries have. XT30s. BMF Spade says the front piece with the VTX comes off to put on another drone. That's really cool. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Cold Power says they listed weights above 180 grams up to 210. Something you were scrolling kind of quick. 180. 180. Is that 180 all kitted out? Where is the weight? Where does it say 180? Hey! Without battery. Ah, without head. Okay. No camera, no VTX, 180. Aluminum head. What in the world? Here we go. Here we go. 04 Pro 230 grams without a battery. That's much more realistic. 230 grams without a battery. Yeah, okay. So 230 turns into 330 with a 4S 850. 330 grams. It's on a 3-inch prop. It is heavy. It's heavy for sure. They should do a 3.5-inch version of this. This at that weight with 3.5-inch props, it's going to be right on the money. With 3-inch props, it's going to be a bit much. And then you're going to try to run like a smaller battery, and that's not necessarily a great idea. So yeah, this would be better with a as a 3.5. It's heavy, but it's not that heavy. If that makes any sense. I absolutely love that you can pull the camera and the VTX out. That is really, really, really cool. Because the 04 Pro is $200 and whatever dollars. Like, that's a lot of money. And to, like, if you want to have 3 builds and then you've got to buy 3 cameras and 3 VTXs, it's like, Jesus Christ, you know? That's slick. That's very slick. Fair warning, it's probably going to break. Whatever the mechanism is of holding that camera and VTX into it is probably going to explode when you crash that thing hard. Maybe not. Maybe they've figured it out and it's really strong, but it's probably going to explode, and the camera and VTX are going to come shooting out the front or something like that. So I don't know about like hardcore freestyle for something like that, but like if you wanted to have, it looks like you can put that front headpiece, a terrible name for it. It looks like you can put it into their Cinewhoop and then the freestyle rig. That's pretty slick, man. Maybe even a 5-inch rig. If you can just have that nose piece with an 04, the camera, the mounts, and you've got a Cinewhoop and you've got a 3-inch freestyle rig and you've got a 5-inch freestyle rig, and you can share that between all 3. That's hot. That is really, really cool. Mr. Meaty says Speedy Master's Design. Okay, talked about that. Cold Power says you sang the opening song to Lion King. You could probably argue fair use. Oh, right. So Slink says I would build an 04 version if you want to send me one. This is the only one that's going to work for 04, and it's mine. BMF Spade says, Squatting Quads did a good review of the speedybee Master 3. Very cool. I might actually look that up. Thanks for hanging, friends. Tomorrow night at 10 o'clock, I'll be back, and I'll have a little bit more of a plan because I won't try to wash both cars an hour before the live stream. But yeah. Is what it is sometimes, I guess. Be good. See you tomorrow night at 10. Have an excellent rest of your Sunday. CiottiFPV.com to support me. If you support me, I'll support you. I'll keep telling you what not to buy so that you stop wasting your money. Send me some of that money that I save you, and I'll keep doing it. Cool? Patreon, Etsy. What's happening over here? Love you, bye! See you guys tomorrow night. Here's some more Tulsa Tough footage directly out of the Insta360 Go 2. That's why it looks so silly. Bye-bye!